I count not one, not two, but three country hitmakers who were accused of committing the kind of vile crime that not only gets you sent to prison, but gets your butt kicked repeatedly while in prison. They all notched hits after they got out, and two of them are in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
Of course, that is Johnny Paycheck, who was accused of not one, not two, but three really serious crimes and served several years in prison during his life and career. The first one, he was just 22 and did time for assaulting a naval officer. Not great, but sometimes boys are boys. The second one, actually, let's just fast forward to the third. Believe it or not, his 1985 charge of felonious assault after he shot a man in the head is easier to talk about. He claimed it was self-defense, as the bullet did only graze the other guy's ear. Still, Paycheck got 7 to 9.5 years, but he was pardoned after just 2. It all came 4 years after he was arrested and charged with statutory rape for having sexual relations with a 12-year-old girl in Wyoming. Those charges were knocked down to a misdemeanor and a plea deal because a crucial witness wouldn't testify. Paycheck absolutely kept recording and releasing new music during the 80s, with one of his most famous songs, Old Violin, nearing the top 20 in 1986.
Tonight I feel like an old violin.
I'd love to pivot to a moment of levity here, but if you killed your own career, you probably did something pretty egregious. Hank Jr.'s actions in 2011 could be labeled as such if you're of a particular political party. Otherwise, you might have defended him when he compared President Barack Obama to Adolf Hitler. That's how it was reported. I'll let you decide. Appearing on Fox and Friends, he was objecting to Barack Obama, a Democrat, playing golf with Republican Speaker of the House John Boehner when he said, quote, "It's like Hitler playing golf with Netanyahu." That's Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's prime minister. Maybe he would have been fine with just that, but when the Fox News hosts brought up the fact that he just dropped the name of one of the most hated people on earth ever to describe the US president, Hank doubled down and said, "That's true, I'm just telling you like it is." A year later, he'd call President Obama a Muslim who hates the military. All of this got him dropped from ESPN Monday Night Football, but 6 years later, he was back. He's continued to record and release new music and was just recently inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Thumbs up this video if you love Hank, and comment below if you don't. Also, please consider subscribing while you're there if you appreciate this kind of in-depth country music news, storytelling, and analysis. Morgan Wallen can relate to what Hank went through, all of it. He was a rising superstar in 2021 when he was caught using the N-word on camera, and as a result, he was dropped by just about everyone who could drop him: radio, streamers, agencies, booking agents. I'm breezing through this as it was pretty recent and is still talked about pretty often, so I'm sure you know the details. It took about 1 year, but eventually Sand in My Boots and Wasted on You would lead his radio and streaming comeback.
Just thinking about all I've wasted on you.
Then a new album, a tour. The guy has just about everything he wants short of award show hardware. He's also got a kid now, and he says he's trying to do right by him. So far it's worked. Jail-free and proud to be since 2019. This next Country Music Hall of Famer was never arrested for the crime I'm going to describe, but he was certainly punished by the court of public opinion. Jerry Lee Lewis was 22 years old when he married Myra Brown, who was 13. The scandal obliterated his rock and roll career, and he was a pretty huge star at the time. Imagine playing stadiums one night, honky-tonks the next. That was kind of Jerry, but you can't keep a good man down, and you can't keep Jerry Lee Lewis down either. I recognize the obvious jokes here, but country music proved to be a bit more forgiving of their union. Did I mention that they were first cousins as well?
What's made him walk has made a fool out of me.
Starting in 1968, he began to notch country hits like What's Made Milwaukee Famous Has Made a Loser Out of Me, and this song. Like Morgan Wallen, the CMAs would never recognize him with a trophy, but the Country Music Hall of Fame sure did. He became a member in 2022, Brown would divorce Jerry, by the way, after 12 years in 1970, and her book is the book that inspired the Great Balls of Fire movie. It's tempting to include Jelly Roll on this list because of his life of crime on the streets and has certainly derailed a promising music career, but he didn't really start to take that seriously until he was a little older, and he never had any success during his thug life days, so I'm gonna keep him off this list. I almost hate to include this next guy because his story is so much deeper than one indecent act, but Ty Herndon was arrested in 1995 after he exposed himself to a police officer. He had some meth on him too, but the indecent exposure charge is what everyone remembers. That slowed his career, but a look at Wikipedia shows he still notched hits in 1996, 97, 98, 99. He's since come out as gay and released fine albums like the Jacob album in 2022. I like Ty quite a bit and consider him a friend of Taste of Country, so I'm gonna link to a video of his that's a little more positive in the description section, as well as the upper right hand corner. About 18 months ago, we published a video of 5 country stars who killed their careers, and the Chicks made the list. I toyed with adding them here, but I'm not sure you can say they made it back even though they remained together and toured nationally several times. Of course, the death blow for the Chicks was when Natalie Maines said she was ashamed the President of the United States was from Texas way back in 2003. People started to burn their music and they were blacklisted from everywhere until, well, I'm not sure you can say they're welcome in a lot of places in Nashville, which is a bummer because they're pretty dang talented. 2 more, and please let me know in the comments section below if you can think of another star who's killed his or her career and made a comeback. In 1949, young Lefty Frizzell was also jailed and charged with having sex with a minor. He served 6 months in a county jail and wrote songs like this one.
I love you, I'll prove it 1,000 ways.
He'd sign his first record deal 1 year later, and a year after that, he got arrested backstage at the Grand Ole Opry. I mean, you really can't make these things up. This is country music. That's what we do. I've gone ahead and dropped that video for stars who killed their career here, and YouTube picked one that it thinks you may like right here. I'm Billy Dukes for Taste of Country. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.